Go ahead.
Meeting called to order. Here we go. Welcoming of guests and public comment. Hello, guest. Robert?
Good morning.
Good morning. You got anything?
Keep up the good work.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Robert.
Did you hear that, Jody?
Hey, tell the secretary to write that down.
Yeah,
right.
right. You got it. All right. Item 3, gentlemen, let's go to the minutes. Anybody see any corrections, anything they want to talk about? Anybody have any corrections or anything? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve minutes.
I make the motion.
All right, Johnny approved, Larry seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. All right, item 4 is the report by Lisa. All right, Lisa, oh, you were ready. You were ready, okay.
Good morning.
Good
I
morning.
really don't need this, I'm not married.
It's leaning back.
It is,
Yeah,
huh? I'm gonna turn it off.
you don't need it.
Good morning.
Well, I didn't think that. Don't talk like Mary, and you'll be okay.
The Texas Water Code Section 49.103B requires that an election be held on the first Saturday in May of even numbered years to elect directors. Under Texas Water Code Section 49.103A, district directors hold staggered four-year terms. The 4-year terms for the district director positions for Division 1, 3, and 4 expire in 2024. Enclosed under separate cover, you will find an order calling an election for those 3 director positions to be held on May 4th, 2024. At this time, it is asked that you approve the order calling the director's election.
All right. Now, let me make sure, do we need to do the district board resolution first, Lisa, and then do this resolution of the board? Or is it,
No, I
Does
believe
it
it's
matter?
in correct order. I think we're fine.
Lisa, could you talk a little louder? I can barely hear you.
I'll turn it back on?
Turn it back on?
Okay.
Just step back a little. Okay.
Can you hear me, Mr. Stubbs?
I can better now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
right, what she said, what's in front of you right now is the order ordering the election.
Well, there's 2,
I
right?
know, but you need to see if you want to have an election.
Oh, you want to see if we want to have an election?
Well,
Resolution of the board.
I don't think you have much choice.
No, I
Renee
don't
can
think
talk
we
to
do
that.
that. So therefore, it's that first resolution under tab A?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
So we're,
Everybody needs to look at that. If you haven't read it, hopefully somebody's read it. The chair will entertain a motion to approve that resolution, calling for the election.
yes, sir.
I make a motion.
So
Larry?
moved.
Okay. Larry made the motion, Johnny second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Same sign. Resolution has passed.
Thank you.
Under tab B now. We've got,
We have a district board resolution for the director's secretary
to
duties.
appoint,
Pardon?
go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Ceballos?
Yes, I want to appoint Lisa to do the,
All right, we have it in front of us.
Yes, you do have the district board resolution in front of you.
the election duties.
The election duties. Do we need, where's Renee? Renee, do I need to have Larry read that to us, or are we okay? Everybody's got it in their packet.
I think it's good enough if you've said, if you've reviewed it, you're comfortable with it.
Okay.
Larry can talk about it if he wants to, but otherwise it's good to go as far as I'm concerned. I talked with Lisa about it.
All right, everybody in their packet reviewed that? Pretend to hear Larry reading it to you, if you want.
This is the same thing we did last year, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Right,
When
so
did
we're
we
going
get
through-
here?
We'll just do it every year.
Yes.
Not every-
No, not every year.
Or whenever we have an election.
Yes.
So it's not like we're creating a new wheel or anything like that.
No,
I just
sir.
want to make sure, if
No.
there's any exceptions, I just need to know, but if it's the same, it's the same.
It's the same.
Okay, so, does the board hear anybody that wants to approve this resolution? Or make a motion?
I
One way or
move
the
to
other?
approve this resolution.
Second?
Okay, George made the motion, Mike seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Okay, hearing none, we have now,
Thank you.
an election. And you better keep us on straight and narrow, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
As always.
Thank you, Lisa. All right. Mary, you're up.
Yes, I would like
Would you-
to have our
Okay.
auditors present at this time.
You're up, auditors. Please.
Where are the auditors? Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hey, yes, this is Teresa. Teresa did all the work. I come to present it and hopefully give you a good insight on how things have gone. We're pretty much like historians. We talk about the past so that you can have a good future. So what you have in front of you, hopefully, is this 5-year summary. I can remember things on one page. If I go into 20, I'm going to forget them. So I'll give you a one-page history, if you would. And I'll throw out some ratios and some numbers for you, just my dissection of how you all have done. So kind of looking at that first, what do you look like? What did you look like at October 31st, 2023 compared to the previous 5 years? Well, you can see on current assets, it's your liquidity. It looks like you're down from 22.6 million to 5.7, but no worry, you all did, I would argue, the right thing. You moved your current assets of cash into the T-bills because the T-bills are generating such high interest rate. And so literally all you did was move current cash that was earning 1 or less than 1% into nice 4% plus treasury bills. So right now, it looks like I said, your current assets are down from 22, down 8%, down to $5.7 million. Just in the past year, again, moving to the treasury bills, you dropped from 14.4 to 5.7 in liquid cash. And what you did was moved it into your investments. And I'll show you a page where it highlights that a little bit more. So again, it's a good move that y'all did there. Your total assets over this 5-year period are down $2.6 million from the 31.2 to the 28. And then just in the past year, we're down just 66,000. I'll point down to the very last line of that page. You see that your depreciation current year is about 1.5. All in all, you've got $7.6 million in depreciation. So when I say that your total net assets are down 2.6, that's caused by $7.6 million in depreciation. Now, we can't ignore depreciation totally because it means that our assets are depreciating and we're going to replace them at some point. But if you get the grants to replace them and such, you'll be in good shape. So again, just to identify, our total net assets are down, again, about 2.6 compared to 5 years ago, due not predominantly, 100% to depreciation. And we're down about 66,000 this year, compared to the previous year, 28.7. That's on our total assets. Our total liabilities, we've held the stream on liabilities right about $1 million for all years, so we haven't really increased, haven't had to go out for any new items in regard to loans. And so that just takes us over to our total liabilities, which are up compared to last year. That was our current liabilities. Our total liabilities are up from 1.1 million last year to 1.3, about a $200,000 increase. That's about an 18% increase in liabilities in this past year. But over the previous 5 years, we're up only 1%. So again, we've been able to cash flow and run with liquidity throughout the 5-year period. So with all that being said and done, at the end of the period, our total net assets, and again, you remember me saying that, that's your capital, that's your equity in the organization. You're sitting at $1.3 million now, at $27.3 million today, compared to $32.4 million. So we're down about 13% from 5 years ago, about a 4% reduction. And again, I said we've got $7.6 million in depreciation. So obviously, if you took that depreciation out of there, we'd be up about $3 million. But again, at some point, we'll pay the piper with depreciation. So keeping that in mind. Now, compared to a year ago, we're just down 1% in our total net assets, 27.6 to 27.3, only a $300,000 reduction generally in total net assets. So how do you look? You look pretty darn good. You look like you've been very consistent, you've been able to cash flow continuously, and carry the organization extremely strong. How did that happen? Well, that's through revenue and expenditures. And if you don't mind, I will go into a few pages just for a little more detail. So this is kind of looking at the, eagle's eye view of everything. We'll get into the trees in a little bit. Your total revenues, as you can see, dropped a little bit from last year, where you're at 12.1 million. You dropped down to 11.9, only $164,000. That's less than 1% reduction from the previous year. So again, very consistent. And if you look back at 2021, let's say post-COVID, we were down to only 9 million. And back pre-COVID in 2019, we were all the way up at 14.6. So we do have a significant drop, if you'll call it, in revenues, about $2 million compared to pre-COVID years. Then jumping on our expenditures, what comes in has to go out. Our expenditures are actually up a little bit compared to the previous year, just by $12,000. So bottom line, we kept our expenditures completely in line with the previous year. And our total expenditures, as you can see, compared to 5 years ago, again, I'll say pre-COVID, we were at 11.5 and we're up to 12.2, so about a $700,000 increase. Again, I would argue, a very moderate increase over a whole 5-year period. So all that allows you to have a net decrease this year of 273. Depreciation is 1 million, almost 1.5. So if you look at that without depreciation, you basically added $1.2 million in liquidity to the organization in this past year. So pretty good overall, I would say, 1 year and 5 year standing. Like I said, there's a few pages I'd like to point to in the financial statement in the book that you have in front of you, and I'll just point to the pages specifically over on page 4 so that you can see the detail of those current assets that I was talking about. You can see that your CD of 5.7 and 4 million in treasuries of the previous year basically were moved over to treasury securities this year, jumping all the way up to $10.5 million in treasuries. So again, where did that cash go? Well, it went down into longer term U.S. treasuries. Then over on page 6, the revenue and expenditures, just pointing to a couple of, I'm going to call it interesting changes that occurred this year. You can see your contract revenue skyrocketed from 1.3, well, rounded to 1.4 million in the previous year, all the way up to 3.9. That's about a $2.5 million increase in a 1 year period. So extremely significant increase in our contract revenues there by $2.5 million. Contradicting that was the licensing fee. That went down from 5.1 down about $1.6 million down to $3.5 million in licensing fee. So we kind of reversed. We jumped up in contract revenue but dropped in licensing fees, as well as our special projects, which also dropped from 1.5 to 269, about a $1.3 million drop. So we moved, and that's what I'm pointing at, to looking at budgeting going forward. Well, are we going to continue with contract revenue and reduce licensing, or are we going to get back into it? But that's just highlighting where those changes came.
Do you mind, sorry to interrupt you,
No,
just to point out to the board what happened with that swapping of those funds, what happened then. That was when the drain maintenance contract expired and didn't get renewed for a whole year until the next year. So none of the revenues from that, the contract expired. It wasn't negotiated until a year later, past the fiscal boundary. So the revenues for that licensing were not there. But then the next year, they paid everything they owed in the year past. And so you see this big swing, which was really occurred because of a negotiation of the contract. If you guys remember that, or do you have any questions about that?
Yeah, I do.
That answer. Sorry.
No, please do. That's why I'm pointing to these, bring them up. Then down below on the expenditures, just to point out again, Payroll expenses did go up quite significantly, I'll say about 14%. So that's going to be a long-term issue related to your budgeting. Jumped from 4.9 to 5.6 billion. Then kind of related to depreciation, I'm kind of surprised a lot of the entities I've dealt with when I see that depreciation is up so high. I see the repair and maintenance up so high. And that didn't happen with y'all. Your actual equipment maintenance dropped from 1.2 to 1 million, and your employee, well, that one, just dropping 18% in a 1 year period on maintenance, and I'm going to point in a minute from now, with older equipment. So that was a pretty good sign there. The other one, just to point out, your employee allowances. Again, employee costs, I think, went across the board everywhere, up from the 900 to 1.2 million, about a 30% increase there in employee allowances. So those come to be, again, some of the items for budgetary reasons. The other page I want to point to real quick, just if I could, jumping over to page 14, just so that you have a detail of it. Again, looking at your overall investments this year, we're sitting at 13.8 because of the T-bills that we have, and that compared to page 15 of 11.7. So again, where's our money? Well, it's sitting in the treasury bills, right? Earning pretty good interest rate return. The next page is my favorite, back to on page 17, is your depreciation and your fixed assets. And again, just want to point out that total capital assets are sitting at $32 million. Your depreciation is sitting at 22. So we're about 70% depreciated on our total assets, meaning, hey, in the near future, we might have to replace some of these. But what did stand out is if you look at your vehicle and heavy equipment, you got $12.5 million in vehicles and heavy equipment, and they're depreciated all the way to 11.1. So that means I got a bunch of old cars out there that might have to be replaced. So I would be looking at that in the budget in the near future. So we can't ignore depreciation is what I'll say, okay? It's kind of like getting old, you gotta work on it. Okay, then the last couple of pages, I won't bother you too much more. Page 27, just pointing out your pension. Your pension is sitting extremely strong. I mean, you're one of the few organizations that I've ever seen, and we do a lot of pensions in our work. Your actual pension liability is $2,100,000. Your net pension position is $2,070,000. You're 92% ratio of pension. Most entities are thrilled if they have an 80% of position. So you are just wanting to point out that you're extremely strong. Even if you reduce your discount rate to 6.6, you would still be at 80% ratio. So your pension is doing extremely strong is what I'm pointing out here. And the second to last page I want to point to is your budget. How did we do compared to budget? Well, again, I'm going to say you did excellent. Over on page 32 is your budget page. Your total revenues were budgeted at 7.8. You brought in 11.8, and that's after that licensing situation. So you're up 3.9, almost $4 million, basically 50% over budget in the revenue stream. On the expense side, excuse me, we had budgeted 13.7. We spent less than what we budgeted at 12.2, so we had a positive variance of 1.5. So again, extremely strong financial position of budget compared to actual. And now I'll say the very last page that I'm going to talk about is page 39. This is, well, I should have said this before, we do what's called a single audit. We have to look at the financial statements taken as a whole, as well as compliance with the grants that you get and the internal control you have within the organization. And there is a slight slap on the hand that you all are late in filing with the Texas Commission on Environmental. The report should be filed a couple of months ago, and since it is late, we do have a finding over on page 39. saying, sorry about this, but we're late in our
It's
filing.
different if that was last year.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yes,
forgive
this
me.
year we're good.
Okay, okay, that's, that's why she's here to get the word right. And so, the good news is that we've corrected that, and this year we are on time. I was getting there. Scared y'all, got your attention. So that means that now you do have a clean report going across A, B, and C. All right, that's the report.
That's very good. Thank you very
Any
much.
questions?
There were no findings that needed any action done?
That is correct for 2023.
Okay, that's the page I'm interested in.
Yeah,
This may be a left field question, but you indicate employee allowance or employee increase of 30%. Okay.
Yes.
So I always equate, maybe right, wrong, or different, increasing production of employees or increased employees to revenue increase. Is there some correlation to that? Or not?
Yes, exactly. And again, as you increase the services by almost $4 million, there's going to be a direct correlation with, hey, we need employees to handle that services. It's not like there was a 30% increase in salaries.
Okay.
One question I had, Renee, you said explain to me again why when you put treasury secretaries, you put it down on non-current assets, because most of our treasury stuff is pretty short-term also.
Anything over 12 months is considered a long-term.
Considered long-term?
So, yeah.
Okay.
So
So that's why
it's
that
still
is-
short, 2 years is short, 3 years is short.
Yeah.
But accounting, you have to consider it long-term.
Okay.
So I can't believe this is such a perfect report. Give me the negatives. Is there
Give you a
anything
negative? A year ago, you had a little delay. You fixed it this year. I'm gonna call it, real good post-COVID. Things are moving in the right direction. We're getting back to where we were.
Don't get all the interest.
Like I said, even your pension is
Some
moving.
people don't.
Yeah, just, it just sounds really impressive, and I appreciate it. I appreciate your depth of
Okay.
detail in your report.
Oh, thank you.
Put it this way, Blair Farm says.
Okay.
You can get to them tomorrow, well, but how long, sorry, we just had a technical question. How long does it take to redeem a T-bill?
I have to, 14 days.
Okay.
2 weeks.
Yes.
Well, hopefully we never get,
If it's
That
an
close.
early redemption.
If it's an early
Right.
all right. Well, we thank you very much.
Okay, thank
Anybody?
you all.
Johnny, you got any more questions?
No, everything's good.
Everything looks pretty good.
Okay,
I appreciate it.
thank you all, appreciate it.
Okay,
Look forward
thank
to
you
seeing
very much.
report next
Thanks,
year.
Teresa.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. Thanks, Renee. All right. Mary, retake the stage there.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ray disappeared.
Renee, yeah. He gave us
My
a,
picture. No, boy, I'm kidding.
Mary,
You can't see her. Oh.
In my picture.
You want Larry or you want Mary?
I don't think he even heard you.
I'll turn it, Larry, we'll have to get a remote control camera for this. So,
You know, while we're on this subject right here, Barry and Al sat down and did some figures that really matter to us. All of that stuff that our auditors do would be if we were a business. We're not. Most of it doesn't have anything to do with us at all. You just have to do that because the law requires it. But the things that are important to us is how we deal with our cash and what we're getting for our buck. And what Mary and Al put together is more indicative of what's going on in our district and all that other stuff that he brought up. So, I don't know if everybody's privy to that yet or not, and probably in your board packet, but it's really something interesting to make sure that because we're a cash business. Depreciation, all of those ratios have nothing to do with us. We're a taxing entity, a government entity, and we don't need depreciation. That mean nothing to us either. So all of those things really don't apply to us. But what Mary and Al put together do, and see that we're really managing the money correctly. I mean, the cash is mostly what it is, or that sort of thing. All of those non-cash expenses, that don't apply to us, none of it. But we've had to do it because of the law requires it. So anyway, having said that, you need to look at what the last 3 years have done with our cash, and that's very important. So having said that, didn't mean to interrupt you, Mary, but go ahead.
I think Mary's got that under D, right?
Yes, I do.
Very good.
The first report is our investment. On the general fund, you see a 2.3 million. For the month of January, especially the last week, we received quite a bit of revenue on our tax side. On February 1st, I did transfer over about $1 million into our money market account that's earning the 5.37%.
Okay. That's better than our city.
How you got
I
a
mean, our
money
treasurer.
market account that's that high?
Yeah. That's better than our treasurer.
So,
Yeah.
it's better than everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, complete 180, huh?
Very good, Mary.
Mary's magic.
Mary's magic. There you go.
If there's no questions on the investment, our next following report is the balance sheet. We have received several of our revenues on our accounts receivable and grants receivable as well. Those have been reduced due to the payments.
Okay. That's all good. Anybody see anything on this early date here? Net revenue or balance sheet? Anybody got any questions for Mary? Go ahead, Mary.
Following is our net revenue report. We're 3 months into our fiscal year, and we're about halfway on our revenue. Met about 50% off of our 14 million that is budgeted for the year.
Okay.
We are in the final stages of completing some of our projects, which Pete will be going over. So those expenses will be reflected most likely in the month of February and part of March as well.
Okay.
Are there any questions regarding to the net revenue?
Anybody? No? No, ma'am.
Our following report is our $500 check report.
I'm sure we got a few on that. I'm gonna ask a dumb one. See on your number 17, where's Bill Williams Tire Center? Are there multiple of those? Kind of like
Horizon Boulevard,
Verizon Boulevard?
right down from I-10.
Okay.
That side.
Do they have just that one location, or they got multiples, or?
I think that's
Oh,
it.
No, they want to
Sure. No, that's Smart Tire.
Those one.
Yeah, I think that's the only one.
I think that might be the one, but they're out of Midland, well, they're Williams, yeah.
Okay.
They're out of Midland.
Well, I got one of these from Robert, so maybe they're around the area, all over, okay. I'm just curious, if for some reason it never clicked, that's not, you know.
They do have very good prices.
That's the only use.
Bill Williams?
On number 5, is Bailey done with that project? And is this the final payment?
No, I've got that on my item, So, yeah, they're done with the contract, we had authorized, or y'all had authorized the contract for 30,000 cubic yards. Well, it was monetary, 750,000, so we're at that. They have completed that to date. So we'll have it on the agenda, see for possible extension to finish out the.
Yeah, we're gonna give a whole report.
They stayed in budget. and there's no
Absolutely.
change.
Yeah, we'll go,
Yeah.
we'll give you a picture.
That presentation here for you.
And this was the first payment.
Here's the first payment.
Correct.
Correct.
Remember, they were the low bidder by far. They,
Yes.
I remember,
$25 a yard for the in-city work.
I saw them working down there last week. They're still working.
Yes, they finished up, yeah, we told them, count them up to 30,000, they didn't pay past 30,000 cubic yards, so
Unless,
they finished up on,
we're gonna have a whole,
yeah,
we'll just stay on Mary's
Okay.
stuff. Sorry, Mary.
sorry, yeah, they finished last Wednesday, so they left, yeah, so we'll get
We'll
you a
go.
presentation.
It's number 48 about.
Oh, the TCEQ water right, that's just the annual fee.
That's the long story.
It's a long story.
That's an annual fee on,
That's an annual fee to,
for our permit.
that's a,
Water right.
Water right.
right, that is about, what, 20 years, or 15 years old or so, and that's when the state, Texas decided to pay for these entities like TCEQ through fees. So we didn't, for years and years, we didn't have any, we had very minimal, just filing fees and stuff like that.
How do they calculate ours?
It's based on, well, it was a negotiation, that's what the long story is about. But Donnie was involved with us, but they initially wanted a whole bunch of money, but we were able to partition our water rights. I don't want to say the right thing, because this is some of the issues in the litigation too, but we were able to negotiate that right, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
But they do it to everybody. Except for the groundwater guys.
Right of capture.
Yeah, they'll probably, I should bring that up,
Yeah.
they'll figure it out.
I think that may go away again. Not the immediate future, but. And on line 62, that's our, if you're a rec, is that an annual?
That is a pass-through fee. It's, we collect from El Paso Water. Water
That's
pays
what
us,
I was
and
wondering,
then,
it was El
yes.
Paso, okay.
It's a federal revenue share. Jim wanted to make sure that Mary
Yeah.
keeps books on that.
Well,
But there's no, it's just a straight pass-through, right?
Correct.
We collect it and then we verify it's correct and forward it.
Great. Anybody else? Next page, Mary.
This page is our credit card report.
Current Robert loose, did you?
We did, this month we did.
Okay.
Is that all that meeting cost, Robert, down in Canantillo?
Yep.
That was pretty nice.
Yeah, how was the facility? Was it?
Kind of small.
Kind of
now.
small,
Small.
but it was a last minute thing, right?
Yeah.
All right, I can be there. We filled it up.
Next page, Mary.
We have our legal and consulting fees.
Joke. We'll go to the next one. Here's the numbers worked up that we can understand.
Yes, this is just an overview. As Mr. Stubb has stated, this is on a cash basis. where our audit is on an accrual basis. Our revenue on the top sheet and on the bottom where it says major expenses, it's just a summarization of our budget report that we provide to you every year. And we broke it down into specific categories. In regards to the revenue, the irrigation allocation revenue consists of land, water, and other assessment fees. Non-irrigation is all other, which would be your licensing, contract, administrative, special revenue, and other revenue. And on average, on the 3-year change, we have, in regards to irrigation allocation revenue, a 1.2 million, all other 4.6, for a total of 5.89.
Yeah, that's the good thing.
Yeah, more water.
More water you get more.
More water, correct.
Just let you know that there's an amended budget, an updated budget that we'll be presenting, not next month or the month after.
Correct. We like to do an overview on the 6-month mark.
November, December.
Correct.
February, March.
But we
Well,
now,
That makes sense, because, you know, we do that every year.
well, we estimated the revenues in October, and since then, we finalized.
Correct. And
Got some real figures.
we'll be receiving a 4 million, 1.6 from our 2001 contract revenue.
6.8, when we receive a quarter.
Correct.
But it goes across fiscal, so it gets confusing.
Correct.
One quarter, we're still in the last fiscal, and
Wow.
who did that? Who changed that fiscal? The water, yeah, that's right, it's based on the water, it has to be.
Remember, gentlemen, that major expense reduction, that final column, you see brackets around, that's a good thing.
And the major reduction is just a summarization on certain areas that you see where we had either due to our abilities or aside from our abilities to have that reduction, which were our cell phone, radio, and internet fees, our fuel, our licensing grants regarding salary and licensing administrative work by a district engineer, and our litigation and legal fees, which on a 3-year change would be a reduction of $806,330.
But then,
Then we have our expenses. We were broken down into 4 categories, which is our major and employee allowances, which include our retirement and all other payroll liabilities that are associated with our salary. And each year we do have a payroll increase, anywhere from 3% to 4.75%. The next categories are capital equipment, capital projects, and all other expenses. And all other expenses include licensing, repair and maintenance, legal fee, insurance expense, as well as administrative.
Those are our notes. The, obviously, capital, we made those decisions and, because of necessity.
correct.
And the all other, just as a reference point, it's from the 3-year average, that's a, so we calculated about a 40% increase.
40%.
And you guys remember when I did the time value of money update on the grants, which was 2 board meetings ago, I think, or 3 board meetings ago, came to be like 41%. Just for over 3 years, because of inflation, has hit our business, farming, more than the average.
Get a lot of businesses.
Yeah, that was I think I calculated about 40% for construction, because I had to do it year-round. So it's consistent with, so that's what, repairs, maintenance.
Maintenance, correct.
It's closer to.
It's 1,000 cuts, as you know.
Yeah, it's closer to 50% on a 3-year average,
Oh, is it, sorry.
but that's a 3-year average. from last year, you're right, it's about 25. So,
And the equipment, yeah, Mr. Peña mentioned about our equipment, but Pete has been able to order, and we have 5 new John Deere tractors that have been placed. The order been placed, and we're working on the 2 backhoes. And actually, we might be able to save some money on those as well, right?
Right.
So, new equipment, and of course our trucks, we didn't have some trucks, we just received trucks from 2020,
22.
right? That were ordered, back then, so we just received, 2 of them 3 weeks ago, and then we received 3 last week, I think, right? So, yes, but yeah, what we were able to, with your all's approval, the tractors, mentioned in the tractor, our fleet, there's some that are, and we'll be sending some to auction, and as far as a crane as well, we're in discussions with a few auctioneers for a crane that we've got there, and so we'll be purchasing these new ones and then sending some out to auction.
Crane, that's all, Al didn't even
Yeah,
flinch.
yeah.
We're gonna get a wheel crane.
Yeah, I'll get
A real,
yes.
a real one, of course, yeah.
It's
A bigger
just-
boom truck, right?
It's just on tracks, and it's very large, so.
And a 30-ton boom truck, well, that's just a crane.
And a boom truck, so we have a boom truck, we haven't priced those yet, yeah, so we're working on those, but that was 2.5 million, 4 million actually on the capital, so.
What are the old tractors
2.9.
that we're getting rid of? What's the model? Are they John Deere's?
Yes. We got a couple of John Deere's and I think there's 2 cats.
Are
They're
they John
equipped.
Deere's, what, 6125, something like that?
They're 410 backhoes
They're 410.
and 410s. And I think there's 1 310.
Oh, holy moly.
The Tiger?
It's old.
Oh, the Tiger is,
That
that's
sounds like war.
no, the Tiger's a 7700.
Yeah.
That's like a 90s, 97.
Tiger.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's a 7700.
I'm just curious. Yeah. We lost a tractor on our farm to a fluke fire. A guy was welding and a spark somehow got started under there, and we had everything in it, we couldn't stop it. With, what am I trying to say, the foam?
Fire extinguisher? Yeah.
We had all the fires, and it was early in the morning yesterday. Remember, it was 17 on the farm yesterday, and everything was frozen up. Tornado fire department finally came down. I don't know why we got it, I'm gonna find out today, I think. I don't know if I even saved the motor in it or not. Gotta be careful. No insurance, of course, as farmers. Who insures a tractor?
It's because insurance is equal to the price of the tractor.
Well, that's, the real reason is what Al said. If you get any of these guys to insure it, and they come out and they put an insurance tag on it, you'd be amazed in a few years you've got that tractor covered. Not 5 or 6, not 3 like I said. Pretty, it feels like it. But yeah, it hurts anyway, because these new tractors, like you guys know. Well, that's good. So they had pretty high hours, Pete?
Yes, they're pretty rough.
Okay,
They're pretty rough.
okay. That's good. I didn't want to go to that auction anyway. Okay. All right. I like your compilation here. Okay, Mary and Al, like it, like the way y'all did that. Catch bases. All right.
Thank you.
All right, Mary, you got anything? No, we did the next step, didn't we? All right. Very good. Let me look here. It's Rose. Hello, Rose.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Here we got our tax report, and we do have 3 tax adjustments. And we do have a corrected, it's this one
Sheet?
here?
Okay.
Yes. We're reflecting the wrong one. Okay, our first adjustment, the property was transferred or acquired by a tax entity that is tax exempt. We are removing the 2022 and 2023 tax assessment, accounting service charge, and penalty and interest. The next 2, those properties were sold at a tax sale in December of 23. What we are adjusting here is the penalty and interest. The property was sold in December. So we're adjusting the county and interest to reflect December.
Okay.
So total, we're looking at $91.80.
Which one's the non-taxing entity?
The first one is going to this Lida del Sur Pueblo Health
Oh, so that.
and Wellness Foundation.
Say that again, it's little one.
Es Lida del Sur Pueblo.
Oh, the Indian reservation, okay. The sheets look the same to me, Bruce, but I'll take your word for it that there's a change on there. Do I hear a motion that we approve these assessments?
I move to accept these
George
assessments.
made the motion, Larry seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, same
Aye.
sign? Hearing none? Continue, please, Bruce.
Our next
What's your
report is for information purposes. Excuse me, the irrigation district works very closely with the El Paso Water and Oro Valley Water District. So, you know, we've been working forward, well, in a joint effort to obtain water rights for more than 10 years now. And our last one is our tax suit, and just to let you know, there's been an update. We have 26, and this is the life of the suit from beginning to end. And, collections have slowed down a bit, so we're catching up with a lot of them.
Okay. Well, that's the most I remember, you can cross it off in 1 month, 26.
Yeah, because we're catching up with, because taxes have slowed down a bit, and they're updating their records, and so are we. So we're removing those from our records.
All right.
So everything's paid, taxes, court fees, anything.
Okay. That's very good.
Thank you. Our next report is a comparison